Taylor, good to see you. Welcome to Pop Alternative.
Thanks for having me.
It's interesting, right? Fast-paced medical drama because of Noah Wile's kind of involvement. People are like, oh, it's like, maybe it's going to be like ER. It is not like ER. I'm kind of wondering, like, what's that script to screen like journey for you, reading all the fast-paced medical stuff and then seeing it kind of come to life on screen, so to speak?
I think what's crazy is so the kind of average in show business is 1 page is a minute.
Yeah.
Our scripts are 80 plus pages.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
And they're cut down to this because we have to talk that fast.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah, very fast paced all the time.
Absolutely. I find it interesting, right? Because when you, even before filming it, like you book this role and everything, and you get the scripts and all the details about your character, I feel like there's two things going on, right, in your mind. Maybe there's like what's going on overall with the story, right, and the patients coming in and out of the emergency room, and then what's specifically going to happen with your character, because we learn about a lot of the characters about their personal lives over episodes. How do you balance that from an acting storyteller perspective? The overall plot, but also kind of like you want to be interested in your stuff too, right? Like you find it difficult at times?
Well, especially with the 1 day format. Like we couldn't try and advance our character too much. It has to make sense to stay within, it's only 2 hours later. I can't have learned that giant lesson yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't.
It's interesting too, because like I just feel like one of the things I love about the show is it's so packed, and it's like you get invested where like we find out a lot about your character's kind of journey and her past and her family. And then it's like, oh, boom, emergency. They got to go in, right? We forget about that. It's something that like I love about the show. And I'm wondering, what do you think about that? Because I feel like it's very unique specifically in regards to the medical drama kind of genre too.
Yeah, I especially love that it's not horribly expository because just watching anything that goes, Rick, the ex-husband of your, and it's just like, oh God, just let it come out naturally. And I think the setting and the speed, the pace makes it seem more natural anyway. Because, after a patient, you might go, oh, that reminded me of my mom or like whatever, and you get the information naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they do a good job. And also it's like little eeks of information for every character.
What do you think about playing these characters that are lost and doing self-reflection? Is it more fun? Is it more challenging from an acting perspective? Because from the viewer perspective, they don't know they're lost, right? They're just kind of living their lives. I'm wondering what you think about that. Is it a challenge? Do you enjoy it? Like, what's that like specifically?
Well, I'd like to find someone who in real life doesn't feel lost all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's just human nature. I don't think if you're comfortable, that's great. And how do you do that? Please let me know.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. Whether you've been on a set one time or thousands of times, there's always going to be learning experiences. I feel like you could probably write a book about the learning experiences on the Pit. Is there any on top of your head from a storytelling acting perspective that you could share with me learning experience wise that you'll take from the Pit for future projects, Taylor?
Oh, definitely. I think, especially with the kind of lines, learning how you learn it best, because everything else, you can do more traditional methods, but it's like, okay, well, I don't really know what this word means. I get it, but I don't really know the science behind it and all of that. And so you kind of have to just really quickly adapt and also really quickly learn. So just to find a way, I learned for me, for some reason, the best way to do it, like I would memorize the night before and it would be completely gone by the morning.
Absolutely. It is a very active audience show. Like you're dialed in as an audience member. You're figuring everything out. Like we said, we're learning about the characters, but we're seeing all these patients come in. There's heartbreaking news that's kind of given to a lot of families and everything. And kind of like we said, it's life and you have to go with it. I'm wondering if you're ever conscious of the audience member watching the Pit while you're making or in production, or is that something a little that you have? I know you try not to, but is that something that happens a little bit afterwards, or because like it is such a reaction based show from an audience perspective, right?
Yeah, I think there are times when I wonder if something's like hyper important to see, or if it's like no one sees this.
Yeah.
Because of some like procedural stuff where you're like, do I have to do it this way? And they're like, don't worry, you can do this. We'll cut away and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What has been your favorite kind of element of a show like this. Like we kind of started this interview off talking about the fact that it's a fast-paced medical drama, but there is that kind of time where we do learn about you know, the people working at the hospital, the patients, and everything. Is there something specifically about working on a show like The Pitt that you like the most specifically, like from a medical drama perspective?
Well, I've never done another medical drama. I think the something the Pitt does is it takes more time for character and like slowing down when it needs to. There's an episode coming up that's just like a recovery episode.
Yeah.
Of everyone just like going back to work and adjusting. I never see those. You always see the episodes where like something happens in the next episode, they're like moved on. And Noah wrote it too. It's episode 9, but it was really lovely to have an episode where everyone just like, it's been a hard few hours. Let's just keep moving.
Almost like a recharge episode. Almost.
Yeah, recharge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really cool.
You've probably worked on stuff in the past where it has like a big cast, but maybe, you know, you just work with a few people, right? And then maybe you have that question, like, how was it like working with this person? And you're like, I did not work with that person. They weren't there, right? This show, like, you're literally working with everyone if you think about it, right?
All the
like,
time.
You're literally on an ensemble cast, right? So what is that like, being able to have scene time with like a lot of different people specifically?
I think what was strange was for the first, I can't remember how many episodes, but for the first few months, we wouldn't see Fiona, Shabana, or Jalen because they were in triage, which was a different soundstage. And so it'd just be like, this is the group. And then reintroducing them was like, oh, cool. We got more people to play with now. But yeah, it's a lot. It's really fun because you kind of develop how your character would interact with each character differently. And even if we're just in the background, we start developing new relationships. It's a lot of people. It's great.
Absolutely. And then last question. I mean, the big news, cat's out of the bag a little bit. Like, we are going to get more Pitt. Pitt has been renewed for season 2 on Max, which is incredible. Just talk a little bit about the overall kind of reception so far. Maybe you're not kind of as dialed in, you know what I mean? But like, what can you say about like the whole reception? Because I love the show. It's one of my favorite shows. And like, what's that been like for you specifically as episodes have been coming out?
Well, I haven't heard much because I'm not a recluse, but no, I don't really look like Mel, so I haven't gotten any feedback outside. But everyone else has been getting, like Jalen got like catcalled on the street for his character. And it's just like hearing about that is also really bizarre, especially when originally we were still filming.
Yeah.
And people were seeing it, and that flipped me out. It was so weird to think that people saw it.
Was the pace of it always quick, filming it specifically? Did it feel like there were some days where there was a little kind of downtime, or was it like, no, like,
no, it was like, you either have to keep up to this pace or like you'll fail out.
No, absolutely. No, you do such an amazing job with your character, Taylor. Congratulations. And I can't wait for people to check out more episodes of The Pitt on Max. It was so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.